Let me get the chat room open really quick. Sorry, I'm running a tad late here. Excellent. See, we got Mr. Workman here. Mr. Visor is here. Thank you very much for joining today. Chat room open really quick. Oops. Sorry, I'm running a tad late. Okay. There we go. Mr. Cole, how's it going today? Hopefully everyone's having a good day. This is going to be should be an exciting one. I'm a little nervous because I'm not a pro at this stuff, so I'm going to be fumbling through it as well. I'm actually a little bit late because I was trying to help myself remember a few things that Paul showed me, and a couple things worked, a couple things didn't work. So this will be an interesting one today. Hopefully, we're going to learn a lot, though. I'm sure I will learn a lot as well. What's up, Wolf? Mr. Scott? Hope you guys like the new Agent If stack that I released last night. Pretty cool. So today what we're going to be reviewing is, a couple weeks ago, I showed a way how I manage a lot of my social media images. Actually, it was probably like a couple months ago. Time flies when you're having fun, right? And I show that I use like Relay That for it's a web app, and we'll show you in a minute what I currently use, and it's cool, right? It's very good. It excels in a lot of things, and it's inflexible in other things. And so obviously, we all know Paul Russum, the infamous Paul Russum, is a great member of this community, and he's kind of turned into like a pro with Affinity. Right? Affinity designer, Affinity photo. And so I got talking to Paul last week and was like, hey, Paul, I would like to do this in Affinity. I think it's possible. And we played around with a couple things and voila, it worked. It was kind of like magic, right? And so I'm really excited to test it out today. I've been meaning to kind of try to replicate and create a standard document for my live stream videos, actually. For this particular video, like the images that you see, like the thumbnail for the YouTube video and the Facebook share images and the Twitter share images and all that jazz. I was a little lazy today. I actually didn't even tweet out the images that I created for today's episode. Oops. I'll make sure I tweet out the replay images though. And so I thought it could be done in Affinity, maybe a little bit better. Let's jump in. I will show you exactly what I'm currently doing, and then hopefully we'll figure out a good workflow using Affinity. And hopefully I don't mess up too much today. Let's see. Okay, let me get my screen shared here. Okay. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna open up Chrome really quick. This particular web app, I know I've said I don't like Chrome very much. This particular web app kind of runs a lot better in Chrome. So this is the image I created today using Relay That. So really quick, we're going to go to app.relaythat.com. Log in. I logged in from my laptop, and it always logs you out of the other machines if you log in from a different one. A little annoying. Okay, cool. So, Relay That is interesting in that, so I'm not going to do a full tour of Relay That, but I've saved some of my favorite layouts here, inside Relay That, and it's kind of like an online image editor, right? And, let's just see if I can make it a tad wider. Okay. So this particular image here, this is my YouTube video. So I use this as my YouTube video thumbnails. This particular one I use for Instagram shares. And then this one I create for Twitter and Facebook social images, right? So for every single episode every week for these live streams, I create I create uh, 5 images based on these 3 templates. The reason is for this particular one, like you see Wednesday 11:30 a.m., I create another version of this exact image that says replay available now, right? So when I tomorrow or Thursday or Friday, when I tweet out, hey, check out this live stream replay, it's, it doesn't say Wednesday at 11:30, it says replay available now, right? So I create multiple versions of this template. And what's cool about really that is, let me show you why I like it, right? So a lot of times what I'll do for every week is, obviously the title of the live stream changes every week. Okay. And then this background image changes as well. So right now it's like kind of like a laptop in the background, but I've already uploaded a bunch of images. Let's just show you some of that I've uploaded. You might recognize some of these. So like, let's say this particular one of the speedometers, right? The speedometer, right? So if I drag and drop that into the drop zone, as you see, it dynamically changes the drop zone, the background image, right? But what's cool is once I do that, if I click on this other template, it's already there for me, right? And if I click on this one, it's already there for me, right? So there's a lot of automation, right, going on. And then let's say, I want to, obviously next week's is going to be different, right? And next week we have a super special guest, right? So just to leak that out, let's say super special, and then it has this cool little thing if I put in curly braces, right? Oops, if I could spell speaker. Super special guest specker. I don't know, live. I tend to do like 3 lines, right? So we have, the top line is kind of like the bold cursive font from my site. Then we have an accented text, right? But what's cool, so I changed this text, and if I go to all the other ones, you'll notice that it's perfectly changed, right? Now, obviously, every week I might go, guest speakers on 2 lines. Maybe I want to kind of resize that or something like that, or make it bigger. So I kind of make some minor tweaks every week, mostly on the title, so that it kind of, depending on how lengthy it is, it could change, right? But so yeah, that is the basics of what I do here. Now, also, what I do is once I create it, I click the download button. A lot of times for social media images, I'll export PNGs so that they're super sharp and super crisp on social media, because Facebook and Twitter tend to do optimizations of their own on top of those images, right? So I tend to export those as PNGs. And then my YouTube thumbnails, I actually export those as JPEGs, mostly because YouTube has a pretty small size limit for their thumbnails. And so a PNG of a 1920 by 1080 is, most of the time, it's too big. So I have to do a JPEG for YouTube thumbnails. Because YouTube tends to compress stuff as well, but their max limit, I think, is like 1 meg or something like that. And the PNG of this is simply too large, right? So okay. So that is what we're trying to replicate today. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, drop it in the chat box. I don't see any yet. So hopefully, yeah. And also, I didn't ask if my audio is sounding okay today. Hopefully it is. So yeah. Okay, let's jump into Affinity. Now, in my email that I sent out today, I said we were going to use Affinity Photo. That was a mess up of mine. We're actually going to be using Affinity Designer today. The reason being is Affinity Designer supports something cool called artboards, and that's exactly what we're going to be playing with today. Gunter, thanks for joining, bud. Cool. So I think that's all we need from here. Let's just close this out. Yeah, I'll minimize it in case I need it. So if you're not aware what Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer is, right? Hopefully you are. But they are, where's that opening? It's over here. Okay. Um, they are they are from a company called Serif, and they're very powerful, very full featured. Designer is a vector drawing tool. It's kind of similar to Adobe Illustrator, right? So they're going head to head with Adobe in a lot of in 3 of their apps now. They just shipped the 3rd one for Publisher, which takes on InDesign, Adobe InDesign. They have Affinity Photo, which takes on Photoshop head on, and then Designer. And a lot of people even think Affinity is better the way it does some things. Obviously, it doesn't do every nook and cranny that Photoshop and Illustrator and Publisher does, but it does a lot, right? Chances are, especially for guys like me, it does way more than I need. So I have tried my best. I'm trying my best right now to kind of migrate a lot of my design to use Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer. One thing I think it's really cool with these tools is that they also have iOS counterparts. So a couple times I've started like an icon design and I on my Mac, and I had maybe an idea, or I just wanted to play around with it, and I opened it on my iPad, and I was able to continue my work. And I think that is really cool. And as Gunter just pointed out in the chat room, it is a lot cheaper, right? So the Adobe product suite is, you're talking a subscription of, probably $50 or more a month. If you want Photoshop and Illustrator, there's various packages, right? But you need to subscribe to Creative Cloud to get it. And Affinity is pretty cool. It's pretty nuts where you could just one-time purchase these bad boys for like $40 or $50. I'm not sure, right? But one-time purchase for, even say $50, and you're done. You don't need to worry about a subscription, and it's a fully powerful app, right? Now, obviously, you'd have to purchase if you wanted it on iOS, that's a separate purchase as well, but super, super cool. I guess right now what I could probably bring up, probably boring some of you that already use it, but I think it's Affinity. Oops, if I could type. There it is. Affinity.serif.com. I believe they're a UK company. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you could do some really amazing stuff. You could do stuff with this that it's way even over my head. So chances are it will do what you need, right? So if you're doing traditional print work or vector work or like more photography work, Affinity Photo, Designer, and Publisher, good stuff. Check them out. Okay, I didn't mean this to be a commercial for Affinity, but so what we're going to do today is actually I'm going to give you a glimpse of a file that our friend Paul Russum created for us, and he provided it as a download somewhere, and he gave me permission to post it to everyone here if you guys would like it. But he created this Affinity document that has a bunch of different what are called artboards. Okay. And what he did is he sized out all the various social media banner images and profile images and stuff like that. So this is a cool doc. We're not going to really go into all of this, creating these images today. That wasn't really my point, but I wanted to show you a quick example of what a document with multiple artboards can be used for, right? So here, Paul created a Twitter banner, and the Twitter banner is 1500 by 500 pixels, right? And, I'm not sure what all the various guides he has. He has some interesting guides here and hints and whatnot that I think Paul is amazing. I probably, in hindsight, I probably should have had him join in today. But instead, I decided to let you guys watch me fumble through all this because, Anyway, so he added all these guides that kind of shows you, like for the Twitter one, where is the circle? Because obviously Twitter displays it as a circle, so you can kind of see how that is. But they require you upload a square photo, right? So, and inside Facebook, like the Twitter banner, he shows you like where all the various, I think the crops are based on where it's viewed. Pretty interesting stuff. But just having all these artboards here to see exactly where like all, if you wanted one document that for all of your social media banners and profile images and all that jazz, pretty cool stuff. And then he even goes even farther, where I think if he goes to where's the export personas, right? I mean, then he exports all of these, and we are going to go into some of this export personas today, but it's pretty cool where he exports every single one as a JPEG or a PNG or whatever. And you can export multiple versions. So you can export a PNG and a JPEG, or a JPEG at one size and a JPEG at another size, or something like that, right? So pretty cool stuff. So we're gonna start off in a completely blank document right now, and I'm gonna create an artboard. So right now I just created a blank Affinity designer document, and I'm gonna create an artboard. So by doing that, you click on the second toolbar, or the second toolbar item called artboard tool, and you just kind of drag this out, okay? And what I do is, this is going to be our YouTube video, okay, our YouTube thumbnail. And so what I do is, instead of kind of, you can drag and drop and resize it, I'm just going to go down to the bottom inspector here, and I'm going to size it to be exactly what I want, which is 1920 by 1080. There we go. And obviously you can zoom out. Command minus zooms out and zooms in. So there we go. That's our artboard, right? And we can rename it. So we're going to call this YouTube thumb. And we'll follow Paul's thing of 1920 by 1080. Boop. And there we go. So there's our artboard. We have a YouTube thumbnail, 1920 by 1080. Oops. Let's do the end parenthesis. There we go. Cool. And then we're going to create, we needed two others. Let's go back into Google, or not, yeah, Google Chrome. And so let's see. So for Instagram, we're going to do a 1200 by 1200 square. Okay. So let's go ahead and create an artboard for that. I'm just going to drag it out, and back here, we're going to go 1200. Okay, so now we have a 1200 by 1200 square. I'm going to plug in I think the battery's dying on my trackpad. Gets a little jumpy. Okay, and then we're going to rename that one to be Instagram 1200 by 1200. And one more we needed was Facebook and Twitter, which technically Facebook and Twitter, they have like a few pixels difference by I forget what they are. But this is kind of known as the general size that you can post to both Facebook and Twitter, and it'll look great. So 1200 by 628. So we're going to create another one down here. Boop. 1200 by 628. Okay. And we're going to rename this one to be FB and Twitter 1200 by 628. Okay. There we go. I now have my 3 artboards, which is interesting because you kind of see the size difference between them, right? I mean, this Twitter one's pretty small compared to the YouTube thumb, which is going to be huge, right? So pretty cool stuff there. So now let's start designing, I guess. So one thing that we want to do is we want to be able to, I want to have that feature like I have in Relay That of, typing in the text in one and having it update on all the other ones. So that's really cool. Like that's we need that, right? And also, like if I update an image, I want to update the image on all of them. Okay, so pretty cool stuff there. And then I have some common elements like this Weaver Space one and this live one, and some other text that maybe doesn't need to be, it could just be static maybe on all of them. Like this Weaver Space one, I actually use this icon on a lot of different designs, right? Because it's my company logo, right? So I use it on a lot of stuff. So I'll show you guys how we can create like a global asset. So if you're in any document, you can access that particular asset, which is kind of cool. So yeah, so I'd say before I started today, I tried to get the image, the symbols. These are called symbols that what we're going to be working on. Working with images, and I was running into a few roadblocks. So we may have to jump into Google a little bit and see what I'm doing wrong. If Buddy Paul Russum is here, let me know, Paul. If you happen to be here, pop into the chat room, and maybe I can give you a call. Okay. So I guess first, let's try using this background image. I was struggling a little bit, like I said before this call, and so we're going to be using something called symbols. And by default, actually, I actually have the symbols swatch up here. It's not displayed here by default. Here, let me go ahead and I'll close it. I'm going to take out assets too. So let me show you how to add that. And oh shoot, hold on. Let me 1 second. You guys can't see my my menu bar right now. I have to quickly modify my setup slightly. Okay. So here we are in in the help menu. Now this is actually a cool thing. I don't know if a lot of you guys even know this is possible with a lot of apps. But this is a Mac OS thing, right? So I know what I want is symbols, but I don't see it in my interface, and I haven't used Affinity enough to really memorize all the toolbar buttons, right? So what I can do is if you go to help and you just type in symbols, okay, you'll see right there it shows you all the menu items that contain the word that you want. So and then you can just select them from here as well. But it kind of shows you a little, navigates through the menus and shows you where it is. So we're going to click on Studio Symbols. And by default, it opens up in this little thing. And you can drag and drop it wherever you want. I'm just going to take this tab and drag it right up into there. So there's symbols. Okay. So that's how we access symbols. And right now we don't have any symbols here added. So let's go ahead and let me change my setup back here. Let's just go like that and like this. And voila. Okay, now we're back to normal. Okay, now for the nervous part. I should probably do some other stuff that I know how to do. But for right now, we are going to add in this image. Okay, let's say this is the background image that I want to use for the background. Okay, so what I do is I drag this image in, and what I'm gonna do is over here in the symbols, we're going to click on the create because I want to create a new symbol. So I'm going to create this symbol. Okay, cool. And what's pretty slick is now if I want, I can go ahead and drag and drop this symbol on my other various documents. Okay, so let's say I want this one on, maybe I want it up here, right? And then I'm going to drag this symbol over here, and let's scale that down, something like that. Oops, I want to skew it. Okay, so let's say we want to do that. Okay. Now the hard part, okay, or the part that I couldn't get done before is let's say I want to update this image, okay, okay, so this particular button here, so that creates a symbol. This I should say, if I ever wanted to detach this symbol from being synced with all the other ones, then we can detach it. So basically at that point, it'll be like as if I dragged this image directly onto this artboard. Okay. And then this button here, syncs. So this turns off whether or not edits that I make to one artboard are synced to other artboards. Now, one thing I should also note is that with symbols, these are project specific. So these are specific just to this file. Okay. Later on, I'll show you assets, which are a little bit different, not quite as powerful as symbols, but assets will let you have global assets across all your files, right? So if we want to relate this to stacks, right, in RapidWeaver, symbols are like partials, right? Okay, so symbols are like partials. Okay. And then for fun, let's add in some text too. Why not? Let's go ahead and let's just add. Just call that hello live. Let's do operator. Boom. Oh, oops. I want all of it to be operator. Bold italic. And then we want the color to be white. Okay. Boom. Okay, and why not? Let's go ahead and add some effects. We'll just add a outer shadow. Oops. There. We're gonna do it down. Slight offset. Radius. Intensity. Okay. Let's just close that. That's good enough. Okay. Obviously, it would probably look better if we had an overlay and all that jazz, right? But for now, that's pretty cool. Now, let's say I want to create a symbol out of this text as well. So I select my layer, the text, and I say create. And I have now created a symbol called with that text. So let's go ahead and I can add that there, and we can shrink it on this one. Let's say we want it down here, or maybe on this one we want it. Maybe it's a little easier to read down on the bottom, right? And then I'm going to go ahead down here. We're going to add it down here. We're going to scale that down. Yeah, and just leave it down there. Okay. Now, what's kind of cool here is with text. If I go ahead and start editing this text, there we go. Boom. Like, pretty cool, right? That's slick. That is really, really, really cool. Okay. So there we go. That's cool. We now have global text that now, obviously, because the text length, just like in Relay that, I may need to go to each one and kind of tweak the sizing of the text and the position based on the length of the text, right? That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, so pretty cool. Symbols, as you can see, we can attach them to each other. And I edited the text in one and edited it in the other. Now, what's cool is, let's say, let's play with some of these other settings here. Like this particular one on Instagram, I'm going to detach that. So I'm going to detach that. And if I edit this now, as you see, right? So there we go. I should say I live here. I do live there. And yes, I took this photo of the Golden Gate Bridge, actually. So pretty cool. Obviously it's highly processed, but I did take that photo. So anyway, nothing like Wolf though. I wish I could take photos like Wolf. So cool. We could detach. Now let's play with something. Or if I go and if I click on this turn off syncing, let's say I can do we'll just do hello live again. Okay. If you notice, I changed that, but it didn't sync down here because I turned off syncing. Now, why would you ever want to turn off syncing? I'll be honest, I really don't know. But let's go ahead and turn on syncing again. And did it sync? Interesting. Help live. Interesting. I turned syncing back on, but it actually didn't resync everything. Interesting. Not sure how that would have worked. I understand the detach, right? Because maybe you've decided you wanted to go a different take on something and you want to detach it from the symbol. Totally get that bit. But anyway, here, let's drag those symbols back out so they're all reattached here. And symbol. A little smaller. And if anyone here has any comments or whatnot or questions, or you're like, hey Joe, you're stupid, that wasn't how to do it, please go ahead and post it in the thing. So anyway, so there we go. Okay, symbols. Okay, so now I'm gonna jump into the bit that I actually couldn't get working like minutes before this live stream, so we might be struggling a little bit right now. And just as I replace that text live, I want to replace this image across all of my symbols. Okay. And essentially, what we're going to do is inside Affinity, if you double click on an image, okay, this opens up in the toolbar. You'll see that it has a replace image button. Now, I swear I got this working with Paul when we met up over Zoom last week. And I tried it just right now. Okay. And I tried it right now and before this live stream, and it wasn't working for me. So I don't know, maybe I did something stupid, but let's give it a shot. So I am going to replace this image with a different one. And I want to replace it with this one, the Fisherman's Wharf image. I took this photo as well. Okay. So we're going to click open. And yep, just as I thought. Okay. Time to Google this because I swore we got that working last week, and it was like nuts cool. It was super cool, and I don't know. I could be doing something. I guess one thing before let's go back to this. One thing I do want to note that what's kind of cool is you can apply effects to these images, right? So if I go ahead and go to effects, and let's say I want to add a Gaussian blur to this image, it should add it everywhere, right? So pretty cool. So right, so we take so we can modify your images, and what's cool is you do it everywhere, and you can see as you see live with these symbols. As I'm editing the image on one, it's editing the images on all of them, right? Really, really cool. But definitely one thing we want to be able to do is replace this image. Okay. So let's go ahead and play around. I'm going to go up to the help menu and let's see, replace image. Okay. Time to go to our friend old Google, and we're going to do Affinity designer symbol replace image. Boom. Okay. Images within symbols don't update sync when replaced. Oh, interesting. Wonder, is this a bug in 1.7? Let's see. Thanks for letting us know. I've reproduced this. Shall pass to the development team. Workaround. This is not as neat as replacing the image would be, but it gets the job done. You can insert a new image and place it within your symbol, dragging the new image in the symbol layer. Oh. Okay. This is a workaround. We're replacing image. Bug still present. See, regarding the comment, unlinked attributes, transform constraints. Pointing out. Okay. Interesting. So what he's saying is what we could do is, so inside, if we look at our layers panel here, so I have my various artboards. So here's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and then inside there are symbols, right? So I have a symbol that kind of shows up as like a group inside the layer panel. So what he was saying is, if I go ahead and drag and drop an image into there, oops, that's not what I wanted. Is there a replace image button in the context toolbar? Dang it. I swore this replace image button worked with me and Paul. And you know what? I'm going to quickly test something out. I'm wondering if it's something to do with like a hardware specific thing. Because when I worked with Paul, I did everything on my laptop. And just really quick here, I'm going to mimic this. Place image. Replace it with that. Boom. Craziness. So I just did the same exact thing on my laptop and it worked. Hold on one second. I knew I wasn't going nuts. I have Affinity 171 on my laptop. What version do I have here? Oh, shoot. I have version 160 installed. What? Unbelievable. Okay. Wow. That answers a lot. Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and save this really quick. Let's just call this social templates. Okay. I'm gonna go quit this. Oh boy, this how I feel so dumb now. I can't believe I didn't. Wonder why it didn't auto update. Anyone else having issues with apps not like auto updating? Like the Mac App Store, I thought it should like auto update all of this stuff in the background. Like craziness. Affinity. Oh, interesting. And it's like not linked either. That's really odd. Oops. Dang it. I hate when I open the wrong app. Fast fingers. Okay. Let's go to applications. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to delete Affinity Designer. And I'm going to re-download it. Interesting. Never seen that one happen either. Oh boy. Keep all. Fun times. Glad I figured that out though. That was really bugging me. And the fix isn't too difficult. Just need to have the latest version, which is Affinity Designer 1.7. So yeah. I wish I could like do stuff like that. Like, damn, dude, that's like crazy talented. Look at how some of these guys can do. It's nuts. Come on, install. Oh boy, fun times. Live streams. Awesome. It's taking so long. An error occurred. Timeout. Oh, thank you very much. Jesus. Is it going yet? My goodness. There it goes. Okay, it's downloading. Strange. So there wasn't an update button because for some reason the App Store and the version installed got like unlinked or something. It just showed a download button in the App Store. So I uninstalled it and reinstalled it. And so here we go. As you see, I haven't purchased Publisher yet. I don't do much print work, but it looks really nice. I've been thinking about doing another book, and if I do, I'll probably do it in Publisher. Could be kind of interesting. Wow, this is taking a while. Sorry for everyone. So I got a joke for you, Wolf. So this American boat crew was doing some training exercises, and all of a sudden they caught a leak in the boat, and so they get on the radio, and they go, "We are sinking! Mayday! 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 We're sinking!" And after a while, this German boat caught on, and they heard the Mayday symbols, and they go on the radio, and they say, "Hello, this is Germans. What are you sinking about?" So bad. I'm sorry. Okay, we're almost there. It's at like 90% install. Open. There we go. Here it comes. Okay, so now I have Affinity Designer 1.7.1. And let's go ahead and do file open recent, social media templates. Okay, let's try this again. So I'm in the image, and we're going to double click on it, and we're going to say replace image. And we're going to replace it with, like I said, we're going to drag and drop this Fisherman's Wharf image and say open. Oh! I swear it just worked on my other one. Interesting. Okay, so another interesting example. Or I'm interested to try this. If we do this, if we go to, oh, interesting. Look, my my things aren't there. It didn't get saved. I need to add my symbols back in. So if we added this, I go in here and I hit replace image. Place it with that. Craziness. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this on a new document, just for fun. We're gonna add in here. I wonder if the document needs to be created inside 7.1. Here, I'm gonna create a new symbol. We're gonna add the symbol back in. I'm gonna double click, replace image, replace. Boom. Okay. Craziness. All right, let's try. I'm gonna try adding a new artboard here. Oh, that's interesting. Let's go ahead and just delete those. Fun. We're gonna create 2 artboards. I'm gonna add this into there. I'm gonna add it to there. Double click, replace image, click downtown. Boom. Okay. So, not sure what new documents created in Affinity Designer 7 1.7 works. I'll try to file a bug with them. It didn't, as you saw, it didn't work on this document, which was created in my defunct version 1.6. Maybe my dad recommends maybe save the file to update the format. Possibly. We go ahead and add this symbol on here again. Let's zoom out. Replace image. Downtown. Nope. It's not working. It definitely worked on the new file that I created in the latest version of Affinity. Interesting. Good thing we found that out. So if you're running 1.7, creating a new document in 1.7, it seems to work. So let's go ahead and I'm not going to resize all these artboards. Okay. But hopefully you now see how it's all done. Okay. So we had images. Can I like copy this symbol? Interesting. I wonder if I take this copy, go over here and paste. All right. We are live. Oops. Right. Here, I can create a symbol out of that. Here, let's create a third artboard just for fun. We'll add this over here. Maybe we'll add it over this way. And then another symbol there. All right. Okay, cool. So now we're kind of back to where we were a little bit. So if I go ahead and say, and it's updating live, right? There we go. We are live. Cool. So I'm not going to take the time to completely redesign the same exact layout that we've done inside my previous social images, but I wanted to show you how symbols work and how they work kind of like partials, right? And so yeah, pretty cool stuff. And I'll share that file that Paul provided us, that social media banners. If anyone's interested, maybe I'll post it on Weaverspace. Go ahead and look at it there. I wanted to show you one more thing, and that was like global assets that you might want to use across different projects, right? So can you group items and create a symbol? Oh, good question. So let's say I wanted to have this under a banner. So let's go ahead and do this. Say I had a banner, okay, and oh, boom. So that's interesting. If you notice, I just dragged that layer into the symbol, and it automatically added it to everything. So yes, and let's say I wanted to change the color of this. Color. So we wanted to make it kind of like red, right? So there we go. So yes, interesting. So symbols act like groups, and whenever you add different layers into it, it automatically adds it to everything in that document, which is pretty slick. That's pretty cool. So yeah, so now I have this symbol, and if you notice, even the preview of the symbol up in the Explorer now has that orange box as well. So pretty cool. Let's say like on this background here, let's go ahead and add a blur effect, right? So we want to add some blur. There we go. Okay. I'm not a great designer out of the box, right? It takes me a lot of work to get something that looks halfway decent. So that's why this looks horrible. Okay. I wanted to do assets. So like, for example, my Weaver Space logo, I use that in a lot of artwork, right? So I'm going to go up and I'm going to do that help menu trick that I did earlier. I'm not going to go ahead and show you. I'm just going to find assets. So you search for assets in there, and it is under View Studio Assets. And oh, it docks it over here. Okay. And if we go default, so what we could do is I can add assets into here. And so if I go import assets from this little doodad up at the top, I can import assets. And let's say I wanted to import that. Oops. Oh, assets. I did this before a while ago. You just drag and drop into there. Oh, there it goes. You just drag and drop into the assets window, and you can now drag it into there. Now I'm wondering if you can drag in. That was a what sort of file? That was a PNG. I'm going to search for Weaver's. Oops. Here's an SVG file of my logo. Can I drag that in there? Ah, really? That is surprising. Oh, you can. Score. Okay, so I'm going to delete that asset. Yes. Okay. So now this is an SVG version of my logo. So if I drag that out, I now have a fully infinitely scalable SVG version of my asset that I can access throughout all of my documents, not just with symbols. Now, I haven't played around with like if I were to double click on, well, this is an SVG file, but let's say I create an asset from some other image. I wonder if you can replace it, like here, let's say like my profile pic, right? If I drag this out here, I don't believe it is not something that's linked, right? So if I add this to both of these, and then if I double click on it, oh, you can't replace the image. There isn't a replace image method up at the top, which is interesting. If I could rename asset or I can delete it. Okay, so we don't have any sort of that control with assets. It looks like assets you could just drag out there and that's it. Like they become static. There's no way of linking them. Like we did here with the symbols. So, but what you could probably do is if you really wanted to, you could drag in your global asset, select it, create a symbol from it, and then add the symbol to your document. At that point, it should all be linked, right? So if I change this, edit live projection. Not sure. Oh, interesting. Doesn't look like I can do that with assets. Oh, I just deleted it. Oops. Anyway, so that's the difference between assets and symbols. They're both useful, both cool. I guess I have time for one more little trick that you guys might like. And that is, okay, good. I don't have it on this machine. Okay, so a lot of times if you're working on a site or whatnot, for example, Weaver Space, obviously I have a swatch of colors that I use, right? Obviously like the colors in my Weaver Space logo are standard, and I try to use those colors across my brand. Okay. For example, I have an orange. It'd probably be good if this banner, if the color behind this We Are Live was the actual Weaver Space orange, right? So how do we do that, right? So right now there's a lot of color picker tools out there, like a lot, right? Two, I think, popular ones right now are SIP, which is SIP, and Pika. Okay. I'm not going to review what both of those do. And the benefits are between either of them. Here, I guess I need to share my whole screen again. 1 second here. Um, I tend to use Pika most. I don't know. I kind of swap. I go between Pika and Sip all the time. When one bugs me, I go back to the other one. But what's cool is so this right here, this color swatch is the Weaver Space color swatch. Right, it has all the colors and kind of like that dark blue color that we use in the background for a lot of things. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to export this to a Apple color palette. Okay, so I'm going to export this to Apple color palette, and it prompts me to save. So I'm just going to call this oops. I can't. That's weird. Can't type anything. Oh, there it goes. Weaver Space. We're going to call this Weaver Space, and it's called .clr for it's a color profile. Okay. Now in Affinity, what I can do is in here there's swatches. Okay. And if we go into swatches, we can go, where is it? No, it's not that one. Oh, here. It's in the little menu up at the top, I think, and we can import application system. Where was those? Create palette from document. No. Oh, import palette. There we go. And what's kind of interesting is you could do as a document palette, a system palette, or an application palette. Okay. So if you did as a system palette, I believe what it does is it will actually import that into the system so that you have access to that color palette from any color picker, which is pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I chose as system palette, and I'm going to find that file, which I thought I saved that on my desktop. Oh, there it is. Weaverspace.clr. Open that. And voila. So I now have a Weaver Space color palette directly inside of Affinity Designer. So pretty cool stuff. And then if I search, let's open up the default color window, Apple Color Picker. So if we open up the Apple Color Picker and we go to swatches here. Oh, wait, where's the swatches? There it is. I now have Weaver Space swatch as well. So that's really cool. Now you could have done that all through here. So inside the Apple Color Picker, this isn't an Affinity only feature, right? You can actually import that color palette directly from here. So you can say new color palette or open a color palette, and then it will add that color palette directly into the color picker. So cool little side tip that's very useful. And again, you'll see all of those in the color picker inside Rapid Weaver as well. So pretty cool stuff. So that kind of does it for today. Hopefully you learned a little bit and you enjoyed it. Sorry for some of the stumbles. It was interesting that it was actually a version thing. But looks like when I created the new document with the latest version, all the symbols were kind of working. So interesting tidbit. Interesting that we found that out. And yeah, hope you enjoy Affinity and maybe leveraging these symbols so that you can do kind of cool stuff like that. So you can, if you have a lot of images, especially like I have the same image every week, it's just slight modifications. That background image changes, the text changes and whatnot. So yeah, hope you enjoyed today and you learned a little bit. It wasn't necessarily totally Rapid Weaver related, but I think it's a definitely a tool that we should learn to use. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Have a great week. Hope to see you Friday on the Hangout. Actually, I won't be on there on this Friday. I'm actually going on our last vacation of the summer. But there are going to be a lot of other amazing people there on Friday. So we'll see you soon. Take care. We'll see you next week.